My name is Debbie Andrade. I have lived in Singapore for 16 years, going on 17 years, and I've been here in Balestier for 4.5 years. My first impression of Balestier, this is years ago now, is where you went for lighting. It's the whole strip of Balestier from Thompson to the CTE was lighting stores. So people say, well, if you need lighting, then you go to Balestier. And then I started to realize that there was so much more behind the main street that it was really the Balestier neighborhood. This place was renovated by my landlord, and we were the first tenants in the house. So they weren't allowed to touch the outside, and in fact, they've traditionally painted it. They've left the original windows, the multicolored windows, which they don't even produce anymore. So they left all of that intact. And my understanding is that inside, you're allowed to do whatever you want. And I do know a few of the changes that they made. For instance, the staircase behind me is faced in one direction, but the original house had it faced in the other direction. What my landlord did was she opened up the whole room so that it just feels like a bigger space. And they tried to maintain some of the original features of the house, which I really appreciate. For instance, if you're to look up right above you, that is the original floor upstairs in the bedroom. It just adds to the character of the house, and I really wouldn't change that.
My name is Andy. I'm 45. I've been staying in Balestier Whampoa area for over 35 years. A lot of shops have come and go, and I made my first pair of my spectacles at the shop along Balestier. That was also one of the oldest spectacle shop around. It was a very nostalgic feeling, I guess. It was, if I still walk in today, it was still having that. It has not changed for the last 20 years. It was 30 years, 30 years.
We moved over here at 1960. That is at the time I'm 12 years old. This is the place behind. We have a little room. Now we turn into two testing rooms. Formerly, this is a room, another room for my daddy and mommy, and then we will sleep at canvas. Next door is a coffee powder. If you need help, just go over and ask, require. They will give us some assist. Then I always stay indoor. Too good girl. Not like this now, modern one. Every girl can roam about. At the time, we always stay indoor. Only the male can move about. So you want to know more about, you have to ask my brother. He roams around.
我是 Mr. Lim Xia Seng. My door, my father decorate. You look, it's a normal door. What's so special? Inside got spectacle frame, 眼镜框在里面。这个就是说 special， 到现在来是60年了。这班是很多戏院，有一个是宝石戏院，然后就总统戏院，然后就在后面一点是Hoover和总统戏院是 Shaw Plaza 一带的。
My name is Jane Iyer. I've been living in Singapore now for 22 years as an adult, but I first came here in February 1963 as a child. I ran the film group, the Asian film group for Singapore Friends of the Museum, so that's one of the reasons I became very interested in film. these wonderful shore studios which were in operation before the Japanese occupation and came back into operation just after in 1947. 20 years later, 1967, they had to close down because they just couldn't compete with television essentially. So I think it's rather sad actually. I would love to think that this could come back and be a studio again where people could film, but I don't know whether that's possible these days because although we have a reasonably vibrant film scene going on these days, we have lots of interesting directors. Obviously we've had quite a few famous films of late, but they tend to be shot on location around Singapore rather than in one set place. I guess we have better technology these days, right? So I feel rather sad, and when I think about how many cinemas we had in the past and how many we've lost, you're quite right. I mean, there were lots of them. The Ruby Theatre, where Balestier Point is today, and there were others as well. They've all gone. But this studio here really is wonderful that it's still in existence, quite honestly, and a fantastic reminder of those old days when, the golden age of filmmaking in Singapore. I think in some ways because it has a certain mystique because it is not open to the public, and therefore when you offer the opportunity to come in here, people are really, really keen to come, which is understandable. If they wanted to open it up to the public, they would have to do a lot of renovation work. They would have to change a lot of things here. And actually, to be honest, I think it would lose a lot of its charm along the way. So I can understand the argument that it's of historical interest, therefore it'd be nice for more people to come in. On the other hand, I think, as I say, there are challenges involved. So I think overall I'm going to plump for, keep it private. Well, you know what, the URA, give them due credit, they've done a fantastic job over the years at conserving many, many different things, and it's really good to see that almost every year we get a few more items gazetted. There are still a few buildings around Singapore that I would love to see conserved because they're really beautiful, and it would be so sad if they just crumble and disappear.
I just hope it stays the way it is and they don't knock down anything else. And it would just be nice if it just kind of stayed put and they didn't destroy any of the existing older facilities. That's what I kind of hope.
我说我可以装修吗？About 10, 8 said no, leave it there, don't touch anything. 有一个味道，我说什么味道？辜负的味道。That's all. Okay 啦 then I never alter 啦。
Personally, I would love to see Balestier still retains that old school, old style feeling every time I go back to it.